So I left a little teaser at the end of this last segment about some big changes that have taken place in our market, things that you really need to know, and things that frankly have kind of changed the game for us as listing agents, people that sell real estate. And so let me explain to you what we used to do, and then explain these changes and why they were made and how this is going to change your approach and, of course, our approach. So what we used to do is, we'd meet with somebody and they'd say, yes, Brian, I want to hire you to sell our house. We've got a few things we want to do to it. So we're probably looking at putting it on the market in 2-3 weeks, in which case I would say, you know what, that's perfect, because I want to go ahead and put the sign in the yard. I want to start doing some coming soon marketing. I want to create a teaser campaign designed to get people in communication with us about your listing, but also create a bit of a toll booth. I'm not going to put all the information out there. I'm going to put a few pictures, enough for them to get interested in your house, and really just enough for them to contact me, because that's what we want. We want the buyers to call us or communicate with us in some way, so that we have a way of actually communicating with them, which, it's kind of marketing 101. You don't give them everything, but you also have to be realistic about the type of marketing you're doing. Is it an awareness campaign? Is it a lead generation campaign? Everything that we do in marketing has to have a reason. And so when we did this coming soon marketing, we'd put it as a coming soon listing on Zillow. We'd put a sign in the yard. We'd put some flyers out front with some limited information, but enough to get their, to whet their appetite. We would do a bunch of social media marketing. Hey, I've got this property coming up in this neighborhood with a pool and brand new hardwoods and an updated kitchen. Contact me for details. And then we start having conversations with these people. And here was the kicker, is that when these people called us and they'd say, hey, we're ready to buy right now. We'd really love to get into this house before it hits the market. Is there any way that the seller would let us in before they're ready to put it on the market? And then you'd kind of play this game where you're like, well, let me talk to the seller. I'm not sure they're going to be comfortable with that. That's just part of the script, right? And then you'd call them back and say, okay, so the seller has agreed to let you into the house before it's being publicly marketed. But here's the deal. If you were to make an offer, you have to make a really strong offer. And of course, the reason for that is you're asking the seller to consider your offer before they've introduced it to the world. I mean, there might be someone else out there willing to pay more money for it. And because we haven't really tested it in the marketplace yet, we have to be really confident in your offer in order to move forward. Is that fair? They'd say yes. They'd look at the home, and then I can't tell you the number of homes that we have sold before it even hit the market. It was a really, really, really effective strategy, because buyers kind of want what they can't have. And when they can't find all the information that they normally can about a property that was actively for sale, what did it do? It just caused them to contact us, which is what we were after. I just want an opportunity to have a conversation with one of those buyers, learn more about what they're looking for, see if our home's a fit, see if they're ready, willing, and able to buy something, and then create some urgency. Well, all that's changed. Now, when you sell a house in the listing agreement, I guess you really have three options as a seller right now. You can sell it on your own, which is always going to exist. You can hire a real estate agent, and they can market it exclusively within their brokerage, meaning they can market it to the own buyers that they're working with, or to any other agent within their specific brokerage that is working with a buyer, but that's it. Or you can say, you know what, I want to sell this thing the way we've always sold real estate. I want you to broadcast it to the world, as many people as possible. The bigger, the better. But here's the kicker. We can no longer do this prolonged coming soon marketing. Any form of public advertising, which could include something as simple as a sign in the yard, means that you then have to put the property in the MLS within 24 hours. So as soon as I put some sort of post out into the world about this property coming soon, the clock starts, and it has to be in the MLS within 1 business day. And in fact, this is the National Association of Realtors Clear Cooperation Policy. And so it very simply states, and I'm just going to read it so that I'm not excluding anything here. Within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. Public marketing includes, but is not limited to, flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, brokerage website displays, including IDX, digital communication marketing, email blasts, basically, multi-brokerage listing sharing networks, and applications available to the general public. So basically anything that you as a consumer use to find properties is considered public marketing, which means that as soon as I put that advertisement out there, it has to go into the MLS within one business day. So why were these changes made? So there's a group that developed this proposal, which is the MLS Technology and Emerging Issues Advisory Board, essentially concluded that leaving listings outside of the broader marketplace excludes consumers and undermines a realtor's commitment to provide equal opportunity to everybody. So this is all about leveling the playing field. So this proposal says that, the MLS and all MLS participants have to input a listing within 24 hours of it being displayed publicly, enabling the MLS participants to share the listings that are within it to the widest possible range of potential buyers. So we can no longer do this teaser campaign that has been working so well in creating interest. And I would argue that we're not doing this to exclude anybody. We're doing it to create urgency. And so there are some issues that are going to arise out of this and some things that are going to be taken very seriously and that they're going to have to hear. And so the first one is just timing. First of all, getting a listing into the MLS within 24 hours is no easy task. I do professional photography on every single one of my listings. And right now we're doing a free listing home inspection, professional photography, 3D walking tour. We'll do virtual staging. Sometimes we'll fix the property up before we sell it. All of these things take time. So if the clock technically starts once I say anything to anyone other than the people that I'm already working with or that anyone within my brokerage is working with, I got to have it in the MLS in a day. The other challenge with this is that we've created this new rule in a time where everyone's kind of locked in at home. It's really, frankly, it's horrible timing based on what's going on with the pandemic and the coronavirus. But I think another challenge here, a bigger challenge in my opinion, is just the privacy situation. Sellers need a choice, in my opinion, to keep their personal matters private. Understanding that sellers should have the option to work with a professional while keeping their sale and transaction private. Maybe they don't want the neighbors to know that they're selling their house. Well, if we have one hand tied behind our back, or if we're essentially being forced to say that, hey, as soon as I do anything to try and market your property, it's got to go in the MLS. It becomes public record. Everybody needs to have an equal opportunity to buy it. But you think about the seller that says, hey, you know what? I will sell this house if you bring me a buyer, or if you learn of another agent that has a buyer, but I don't want a bunch of random people walking through my house. I don't want it on every website in the world. If you learn of somebody, or if you know of an agent that is looking in an area like this, yeah, I'll do the deal. Well, this essentially negates that. You just don't have that ability anymore, unless you are only working with the buyers that your listing agent finds that they are already working with. Because remember, they can't use your listing as a marketing tool to find new buyers, because they'd be marketing the property to the world. It'd be public marketing. So it's really only for existing buyers and existing relationships. And the other thing that I would argue here is that if you choose the brokerage exclusive portion of the listing agreement, then obviously you can't share it with any other brokerage than your own. What if you're a really good agent in a small brokerage? This really hurts the small brokerages. I mean, you think about my brokerage, it's the largest brokerage in the world. We'll be okay. But some of these small brokerages or agents that have had successful careers that have said, you know what, I'm just going to open my own shop. They just don't have the reach that a big brokerage has. And so how does that then benefit you, the seller, the consumer? This is It's just bad timing. And frankly, I understand why they did this, but the seller should have the choice and should be able to create their own construct in which they want to market their property rather than abide by the rules created by a governing body that want to, quote unquote, level the playing field. So, we're handling this in a few different ways. Obviously, we've got a huge brokerage and we've got the largest brokerage in the world. So we naturally have access to more buyers than a small brokerage will. The other thing that I would say, though, is that we have buyers. I mean, I showed another client this earlier in the week, but I have the ability to go into my database and say, okay, here's a property that I'm about to list. Here's the general area, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, price range. I want to know who are the people that have been on my website that have looked at something similar. And I showed him this, and it was a property that generated 189 people that have recently been to my website and submitted their contact information that would be interested potentially in that listing. If these agents don't have these types of databases, which is where, a lot of deals are made, then you have to ask yourself the question of, is this strategy within my best interest? So it'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out. If you guys want more information on this, if you're thinking about selling your house, you have got to work with an agent that understands this and that has already put in the time, effort, and strategy to capitalize given these new parameters. So if you'd like more information on that, you want to learn more about how we're dealing with all of this and how I think this is actually going to work pretty well for us, feel free to give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or visit our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And of course, you can just send me an email, Brian@BrianBeattyTeam.com. Stick around, folks. When we come back, I'm going to